Great. Okay, guys, once again, I welcome you to my lesson for today. I hope everything is in order, guys. So just a last confirmation. Did you guys say you're able to hear me when I speak? And again, are you able to see on the board over there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 100%. So remember, guys, this lesson is dedicated to grade 11 and 12 learners. But otherwise, if you're in grade 10 and you've joined this lesson, is still fine. You are welcome to join any of my lessons. So this is just going to give you an exposure in terms of what you'll be doing on your next year. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any waste of time, what we'll be doing for today is just the examples in relation to the previous lesson that we had. So, number one, so obviously all of you guys, you know what we'll be doing in this lesson, isn't it? You saw in the group, is it?
And she opened up to GMA this morning about her strained relationship with her sister Brittany, which got even more complicated, as you may remember, during Brittany's conservatorship drama. Take a look. Why write this book now?
Someone has got their mics unmuted. Guys, make sure you mute your mic so that we don't get disturbed by the background noise. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me just quickly draw that CAS diagram, or maybe let me just draw it somewhere there halfway. I hope that space is going to be enough. So remember, guys, you just need to know that we've got A, C, S, A, T. Guys, who's got their mics unmuted? Let me just mute it from my side. Okay, it's Lindy. It's unfortunate, you know. Guys, let me just quickly mute this one. So what I'm going to do, I think I'll be forced to make a list of those who unmute their mics during the lesson. So on our next lessons, you'll just remain muted. So guys, we've got a cast. Andile, can you mute your mic? So we've got a cast, what is it? Cast diagram over there. We know in first quadrant Q1, all the trig ratios are positive. In Q2, it's only cos which is positive. In quadrant number 3, it's only sine which is positive. In quadrant number 4, it's only tan which is positive. And most importantly, guys, you need to know that we've got 0 degrees there, we've got 180 degrees there, and again, let's see, what else do we have? We've got 360 degrees there. So, before I start with that problem, guys, is it clear to everyone? I'm going to mute Andile's mic. I see he's not following instructions. So, guys, is everything clear there?
Sir? Sir?
Yes.
Please ask about the diagram.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it supposed to be cos on the 4th quadrant and then tan on the 3rd quadrant and then sine on the 2nd one?
Yes. Thanks very much about that. Let me just quickly update it. So this is cast diagram. So this is a good indication that we are all on the same page. So do you agree with everything now? Is it clear for everyone now?
It's very clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 100%. So remember, guys, for those of you who've got their mics unmuted, I'm going to mute you. Slindile Mgwadlu, you've been having your mic unmuted. Makakula, also please mute your mic. I'm going to mute it from my side. So it's fine. Let's now continue, guys. So let's see. We are given that as a problem to work out. So let me quickly teach you this thing, guys. In maths, there are two things that you can do. Normally we solve, or otherwise we simplify. So on my previous lessons, I explained to say, when you solve for the unknown, an unknown which could be represented by any letter between A up to Z. For example, if you have 2x plus 1 is equals to, let's say, this is 5. So in this case, you can only solve. What are you solving? You solve for x, which means in the end, you must say x is equals to whatever number that you get. So let's now have a look at simplification. And again, for you to notice that when you're given a problem, you must solve. That's when you see an equal sign. So for the fact that you've got an equal sign, it means you've got an equation. So if you have an equation, you solve. But when you simplify, let's say, for example, you have 4x minus x plus 7. So can you see the difference between these two problems is that on the left you have equal sign, on the right you don't have equal sign. So because you don't have equal sign here, it means this thing is an expression. So that one is going to be an equation because of that equal sign. So here we don't have an equal sign. This is an expression. So when you're given an expression, you simplify. What does simplify mean? It means you are given something which is either complicated or very long. So you just have to simplify it and write it in its simplest form. So for example, you have 4x, you have x. These are the like terms. You can work them out together. You have 3x minus 7. So that is a long expression that you simplify it into its shortest form. So that means this thing, it is still the same as that thing. The difference is that here it was a bit long, and then here you just simplified it. Just like maybe, let's say 2 plus 7 plus 3. Can you see how long is this? But you can simplify it such that you know that plus that is 10 plus that is 2, is 12. So you've got 12. So can you see the whole of this is still the same as 12. The difference is that in this case, this was long and you now simplified it in its shortest form. So simplification, you are given an expression, you just simplify. Where you solve, you are given an equation. Why? Because there's an equal sign. What you do, you solve for the unknown. What is the unknown? Unknown is represented by any letter from A up to Z, which means there, because it's X, it means they just chose to use X. Otherwise, they could have used Y, they could have used A, B, C, D, E, F, G, any letter from A up to Z. So now I'm going to ask you guys a question. This problem that we are doing or that we are dealing with there, is that an equation or is that an expression?
An expression.
It's an expression.
100%. So when we have an expression, what do?
We solve, sir.
Simplify, sir.
We simplify.
Simplify. Sorry, sir.
So when we're given an expression, we simplify. So when we simplify, what does it mean in other words?
We are making it easy, sir.
We are making it
easier.
So just make sure that you speak a bit louder and your mic is closer to your mouth. So I heard you saying we make it simple. That is 100%. So that's more like we want to write that in its simplest form. So that means when you say it's equals to, whatever that you write there, it has to be the same thing as what you were given originally. Again, when you say it's equals to, it still has to be the same thing until you get to your final answer where you can no longer further simplify whatever expression that you are dealing with. So in this case, it means we simplify. So let's try to have a look. Remember, guys, it's more like we are just individually working out that part, and then we work out that part. So let's see, what is cos 180 degrees plus angle theta? So remember, guys, remember, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, we need to know under which quadrant does that angle fall. Under which quadrant?
Third quadrant, sir.
So it falls under quadrant number 3. So under quadrant number 3, is cos positive or negative?
It's negative.
Negative, sir.
Okay, so it's negative, which means we are going to have a, in brackets, negative cos theta. I hope everyone agrees with me on that one. Then at the bottom, what are we having? Under which quadrant does that angle fall?
Quadrant 2.
3.
Quadrant number 2. Under quadrant number 2, obviously we know cos is negative. It's only sign which is positive. So we are having negative cos of angle. So do you guys still remember what we discussed about that angle? What did we say about that angle?
So we said it should be an acute angle.
100%. So that is an acute angle, which means it's an angle which is between 0 and 90 degrees. So can you see, guys, do you agree that this thing which is originally given as a problem is the same as that? Do you guys agree that this is the same as that?
Yes, sir.
Oh, sir. Yes.
So an answer to that question is a big yes. The reason to that is because this is just a simplified form of that. So now let's check. Obviously, you have negative at the top, negative at the bottom. So those negatives, they cancel. Do you agree?
Yes.
Yes.
So you have cos angle and cos angle, they cancel each other. So it's more like we remain with positive 1. Do you guys agree with me on that one?
We agree. Indeed.
Sir.
Do you guys know how to prove if this answer is correct?
No.
No, sir.
So, guys, what I'm going to teach you now is something that you should embrace for the rest of your life, because this is what I've been using as one of my tricks when I was in high school to make sure that in trigonometry I score maximum marks. Zoe, please mute your mic. Zoe, please mute your mic. Shreyas, make a comment.
So if you said, sir, to find the answer, if you said cos in the brackets 180 degrees over cos in the brackets 180 degrees, which gives me positive 1.
Guys, let me make this comment. Shreyas is a grade 10 learner who started with my lessons earlier this year. He's on another level of which I'm thinking when he gets to grade 11 and 12, he will be very, very, very sharp. Shreyas, you are on the right track. Just make sure that you practice more and more and more. Guys, if you listened to what Shreyas said, it's a technique that I taught him, to use in mathematics, especially when it comes to solve for X or whatever. So in short, Shreyas, thanks very much for giving it a try. I think it's worth it to mention that you're still in grade 10. This lesson, it's not suitable for you, but your participation is highly appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to prove if your final answer is wrong or correct, substitute any angle that you like over there. It has to be the same angle over there. So let's say, for example, some of you assume angle theta to be 30 degrees. Some of you assume angle theta to be 60 degrees. So substitute that angle on the original equation. So it doesn't matter, Shreyas, whether you substitute it there, but it's advisable that you substitute it on the original expression, because if it gives you 1, then you know everything that you simplified is correct. So in short, say cos of 180 degrees, it's a plus. Some of you use 30, some of you use 60. Then at the bottom, say cos of 180 degrees minus 30. It must give you 1. If it doesn't give you 1, then it means your final answer is not correct. Did that make sense to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
So what are you who's Shreyas, what are you getting?
So I used 30 degrees and 60 degrees, and they both give me positive 1.
Is it what everyone is getting?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So are you guys happy with that method?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what I'm now going to do is to remove all of this, because remember, guys, I said you need to learn how to work out all of those things in your head. So in exam, we won't have enough time to be drawing that cast diagram. So it's a squared plus that multiplied by a sine of 360 degrees minus angle that, all of that divided by tan into 360 degrees minus angle theta. So remember, guys, that method that I showed you, it's just a personal trick that I've been using. So just make sure that you attend more of my lessons so that you learn how to prove if your final answers are wrong or correct. Even in question 1, the whole of question 1, doesn't matter whether it's worth 20 marks or 28 marks, 30 marks, you can still prove if your final answer is wrong or correct. So it's not something that you should provide as part of your answer. It's something that on your calculator on your side you can do, just so that you ensure that you score maximum marks. So ladies and gentlemen, let's now work out that part. What is this thing, guys? Is it an expression? Is it an equation? What do we do?
An expression.
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 We are simplifying, sir.
100%. So this is an expression and we are simplifying. So let's now simplify. So remember, guys, you look at the angle and you ask yourself, under which quadrant does that angle fall? Obviously, is quadrant number 3. So in quadrant number 3, is tan positive or negative? I think tan is positive, 100%.
Positive.
So that means we are going to have positive tan theta multiplied by, let's now get to sine. Sine, that angle it falls under quadrant number 3, is sine positive or negative there? I think it's negative sign. So that means write it in brackets, guys. Say negative sine angle. Sorry, guys, not quadrant 3, no, it's quadrant 4. Agreed. So let's check. What about tan 360? That angle, under which quadrant does it fall? It also falls under quadrant number 4. And then under quadrant number 4, tan, I think, is negative there. So that means in brackets, you are going to say negative tan angle. Am I doing these things correctly, guys? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's
Okay,
correct.
100%. So now, let's check what happens there. So I normally like cancelling out the negatives if they are there, and then again I see I've got tan angle, they can cancel. So that means I remain with sine angle. So guys, some of you use 30 degrees, some of you use 60 degrees. So it doesn't matter whichever angle that you use, you just have to make sure that if you have a theta, then you can just use the same angle for theta. For example, if you had theta and beta, just make sure that wherever you see beta, you use the same angle. Wherever you see theta, you use the same angle. So now let's substitute. Substitute there, and there, and tell me what answer are you getting when you substitute all of that. So I'm also going to use, let me use 60. So that means it's going to be tan into 180. Let me use 30 plus 30 multiplied by sine into 360. It's minus 30. Then at the bottom I've got tan. Just make sure that you mention your answer after you got it. So I'm getting, what are you getting? What are you guys getting?
Positive 1 over 2.
So we got positive 1 over 2. So that means, again, when you punch whatever that same angle that you substituted there, substitute it here and check if you find a positive 1 over 2. What are you getting, guys, when you punch this? So what does it mean?
So that 30 degrees gives us 1 over 2.
What does it mean?
The answer is correct.
So it means the answer is correct. So guys, just make sure that you understand that method. So for those of you who are in grade 10, don't worry that much in terms of how do we know which angle falls under which quadrant. You will learn that next year, but for now you can just remain so that you get used to this type of problems, and I'm sure you will learn some new information. So guys, we are given that as a problem. Obviously this is an expression, we therefore need to simplify. So let's have a look. We've got 1 minus I want you guys to be careful of something. This thing which has got a squared over there, it doesn't matter whether it's sine squared angle, which is x. It doesn't matter whether it's sine squared angle. So you just need to know that this thing is the same as sine angle squared. This thing is the same as sine angle squared. Just make sure that you are aware of that. So in this case where you've got that angle, you can just write it as, let's see, you can just say this is tan into 360 degrees minus angle. You close that, you put the squared over there. So you had to have that bracket because you knew you were going to have those brackets for the angle. Guys, does it make sense for everyone what I've just explained?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, 100%. So under which
No,
quadrant
sir,
does
can you
that
please
fall?
explain again?
Who is it? Who needs an explanation?
It's Lisedi, sir.
Let's say if you have tan squared beta, so that squared there, it's more like you have, let's say, x squared. So this thing is the same as x squared. So the squared for a trig ratios, it's not written as tan beta squared. You don't write it like that. You write it as tan squared then angle. So let's say that was 20 degrees. So it's more like it's tan squared 20 degrees. So imagine if you had to write that squared there. So that means you're going to have a funny thing which is 20 degrees, then you still have a squared. Can you see? It's more like you have 20 0 to the power 2. So mathematically, you write it as tan squared maybe 30 degrees. So this thing is the same as 2 of tan 30 degrees. So it's more like you have tan 30 degrees, you have 2 of the same thing. So when it's given in that manner, this is how you represent it. It doesn't matter whether it's cos, whether it's sine. So if it's given as, let's say, sine, what is it? 180 degrees plus, let's say, alpha close. So this is the same as you do that big bracket and say sine into, can you see the reason why you had to do that four corners? Because you knew there's still going to be another bracket inside. So this is going to be 180 degrees plus alpha close that then squared. So again, this thing, the whole of this is 2 of the same thing. Because of that squared is 2 of the same thing. So that means this thing is the same as that there, and the same thing again there because of that squared over there. Lesedi, does it now make sense? Does it make sense to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Wait, sir, I have a
Yes.
question. It's Albi speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, so when you have a square root, we have to use those brackets every time?
When we have what?
A square root. I mean to the
Are
power
you
2,
referring to
sorry.
that power 2? Okay. So
Sorry, power 2.
in terms of these brackets, guys, you only use these brackets if you have another brackets inside. Let's say, for example, you have that, you have, let's say, tan, what is it? Can you see? You still have another bracket there, let's say minus angle theta. So mathematically, instead of you representing this in that manner, it's still fine. It's not like you're going to get the wrong answer, but mathematically, you shouldn't be having those two types of brackets. They normally start with that type of a bracket. Why do you do that one? Is because you know inside you are still going to have that type of a bracket. I'm not sure if it makes sense, guys. Not necessarily when you have a what is it, a squared, but in this case you are forced to do it that way because you want to take out that squared over there. I'm just not really sure of which type of a mathematical problem I can use, but I know in sequence and series somewhere somehow you represent I think that formula for calculating the sum, I think it has this type of a bracket. So don't worry that much about these four corner brackets. Even if you had something similar to that, and you proceed with your calculations, you are still going to get the same thing. But normally when we write it in this manner, even when you have to punch on a calculator, you won't make some mistakes, especially when you use that quadratic formula, when you have to put in your information inside the brackets. So you are most likely to make mistakes if you just make those circular or curvy brackets. Did I try to answer your question? I'm not sure if you're satisfied with that explanation. Who was it? LB. Okay, let's continue. Remember, LB, in case if you need to comment, make sure to unmute your mic, because sometimes it does happen that you agree but you forget to unmute your mic. So I assume that made sense. So now let's continue. I was asking, under which quadrant does that angle fall? I think it falls in Q4.
Okay.
And under quadrant number 4, what is it? Tan is negative, if I remember. Just make sure that you correct me if I'm wrong. So that means we are going to have 1 minus. Now I can use this bracket LB because I know I will no longer be having a bracket inside there, because already I know this is going to be negative, that angle close, then squared. So this step, does it make sense to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 100%. Something that you need to be careful of. This is where examiner is going to catch most of you. Let me just rewrite all of that step, but in a different form. So this is negative into -1 tan angle, then you've got a squared. Do you guys still remember that you've got an invisible 1 over there, invisible 1 there? Do you know that when you have x, you have invisible 1 here and you have invisible 1 there? Do you guys agree?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, 100%. I'm glad that we are all on the same page on that one. So that squared, it's more like we have, let's say, as an example, it's more like we have 2y close squared, 2 representing the coefficient there, y representing all of that, and then the squared is that one there. Do you agree, guys, that this thing is the same as that squared is going to square that coefficient and also square that variable? So it's more like we have 2 squared and we have y squared. Do you guys agree?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
From that rule. So if you guys agree with me on that one, therefore it means on our next step, this is the same as 1 minus. This is going to square that, and this is still going to square that. So what is a -1 squared? This is going to multiply tan squared theta. So what is this thing, guys?
1, sir.
Is it -1 or +1?
Positive 1.
Positive 1.
So that means we're going to have positive invisible 1 tan squared angle there. Does it make sense to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, which means this is the
Wait,
same
so I
as
have a
1.
question.
Yes.
Wait, so there's always an invisible one, like before the trig ratio, because I did not know that.
Yes. So always you've got invisible +1 there. If it's just tan, you will notice as we continue that sometimes you might have maybe 2 tan, 4 tan, a 3 tan or whatever. So if it's nothing there, it's invisible +1. So if, for example, that one there, it's negative tan, it means it's negative invisible 1 tan. It's negative invisible 1 tan. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 100%. So now, let's try to prove it. So some of you guys use 30 there. Some of you guys use 60 there. Punch the whole of this on a calculator. And also, let's see if we are getting the same answer when we also use the same angle there. For those who use 30, they will substitute 30. For those of you who will use 60, you will punch 60 there and there. So punch all of that and let me know if our final answer is wrong or correct.
Sir,
Mm-hmm.
sir, I'm confused on our fourth step, sir.
1, 2, 3, 4 there.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
It's 1
Okay.
minus.
Remember, I wrote that minus when I was explaining to, who was it? I'm not sure if you remember, guys. It's positive there. I think I was explaining to someone that if it's -1, if it's negative tan, then it means it's negative invisible 1. I just wrote it there, but it's actually tan squared theta. Do you guys remember when I was explaining?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So, Lerato, don't get confused. You are right. It's positive there. So I just wrote it when I was explaining to whoever who asked that question. So what are you guys getting when you punch all of
sir,
that? Mm-hmm.
So when you calculate, so you must put 10 in the brackets. You must put 30, and then outside the brackets, an exponent of 2.
So a very good question, Shreyas. I think let me remove all of this and use that space to explain. So be careful, guys. You mustn't do something like 1 minus tan, and then you say, let's see, you say 360 degrees minus, for those who are using 30, and do this thing. Because the moment you do that, it's more like you are squaring an angle. So rather say 1 minus, put it in brackets and say tan, let's see, then it's going to be into 360 degrees minus 30 degrees. You close again, then you put a squared outside. LB, I think this is the best time to explain to you what I meant. Trias, did I answer your question?
Yes, sir.
So LB, are you there? Can you unmute your mic so that we can have a conversation?
Okay, sir.
This is what someone is going to do. So they're going to make this mistake. So they are going to say 1. When they punch on their calculator, they're going to punch 1, punch minus. They're going to nicely open a bracket and punch tan. And then from there, they're going to open a bracket and punch 360 degrees minus 30. They're going to close and forget this bracket and put a squared there. Can you see a common mistake that is most likely to happen, LB?
Yes, sir.
So the reason why it's advisable that you write those big brackets is because you're going to say 1, then you open this big bracket, then you say tan into that type of a bracket. You're going to say 360 minus 30 degrees. You close it nicely, then you do that type. So when you punch on a calculator, you'll never forget that you've got 1, 2 brackets, then you square it. Then you know that square root is squaring the whole of this and not squaring the angle, which is that part. Does it make sense to everyone?
Yes, sir.
So guys,
Yes,
what are
sir.
you getting there? What are you getting there?
So, for 30 degrees, I got 2/3
2
for
over
my
3.
first step. And then when I substituted into my answer, I also got 2/3.
Is it everyone who got the same answer?
Yes, sir. It's
Yes, sir.
100%. So I'm glad that we are all on the same page. Guys, these things are so easy. Very, very easy. Easy, 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 easy. You just have to make sure that you understand your story. So this one, none of you are going to get it correct. I'm 100% sure about this one. Guys, who wants to give it a guess? Don't worry, guys. It's easy. Someone said, who is it? Is it you, Lesedi? Make sure you get closer to your mic.
It is gonna be I'm not sure, but it's gonna be like minus cos theta plus minus cos theta.
Okay, someone tried. What's your name again? You say
It's
negative cos
LB.
theta, negative cos theta. Okay, LB, someone to give it a try again. Lesedi?
Sir, I'm not sure, but is it like cos and then open brackets a plus b, something like that?
Okay, something like that. Someone, the last one to give it a try.
Sir, I think we're going to say sine open bracket 90 minus theta.
Okay.
Because
Okay. So, guys, this is where you need to open your eyes, guys. You need to open your eyes and be careful of this type of problems. So, I think I also need to give you this trick, guys. So, for me, especially when I was practicing maths, I hate using a textbook, especially a textbook which doesn't have answers or memorandums, because if you just give those answers as you indicated, you will never be sure if those are wrong or correct. So I like using question papers when I practice, and question papers which has a memo. So if I use a question paper which doesn't have a memo, I don't use it to practice. I only use those which have a memo. So this problem, it was going to be allocated 1 mark. So marks allocated to a problem, they serve as an indication in terms of the amount of work required for this type of a problem. So for the fact that this problem is allocated 1 mark, it's very easy, guys. This is cos x, this is cos x. It's more like you've got x plus x. What is that, guys?
2x.
2x.
This is 2x.
Those
2x.
So what is that?
2 cos
It's
theta.
2 cos theta.
2 cos theta.
I hear someone still wants to open brackets. Guys, we are not going to open any bracket. We just say this is 2 cos angle. Remember, what did I say about that angle?
It's an acute angle.
This is an acute angle, which means you cannot say cos and open brackets, guys, because already this is an acute angle. So if it's not an acute angle, that's when they say 180 degrees, maybe plus or minus whatever angle. So that's when you know that, okay, no, this is not an acute angle. So use reduction formulas to convert it to an acute angle. So it's more like here, you are already given a trig ratio with an acute angle, a trig ratio with an acute angle. LB, something very much interesting, which is going to make you fully understand this thing. There is an
Sir,
invisible one there. Yes.
can you please? I'm sorry. Can you please repeat again? Because I'm having problems with the Wi-Fi. It just lags.
Okay, so let me see. What was I saying, guys? What was I saying, guys? You were
explaining to her. You were explaining to her about the invisible one.
No. Before the invisible one, I think I was explaining something. Okay, it's fine. Let me just quickly repeat what I said. But remember, this lesson has been recorded. You can still catch up. I'm going to post it, say, tomorrow, Wednesday. So what I was saying is, okay, now I remember. I was saying this thing, we know that, let's say, cos angle. This thing is an acute angle. So it means it's an angle which is between 0 and 90 degrees. So for you to notice if an angle is not an acute angle, that's if it's inside the brackets where they say maybe 180, it could be plus or minus then angle, or otherwise whatever could be tan, sine, or cos. Then the moment they put it inside the brackets, then you know this is not an acute angle. Then you need to use the reduction formula to convert it to an acute angle. So I was saying, in this case, we are already given this problem as an acute angle. So you don't open any bracket. Does it make sense, guys?
Yes, sir.
So this angle is now represented as angle theta. As we proceed with this chapter, guys, you'll find that sometimes they just say cos of, let's say, 317 degrees. Can you see? Now it's no longer represented by a letter or a symbol, but they give you an actual number of which you need to know if this angle is acute, obtuse, reflex, or revolution. Does it now make sense, guys?
Yes, sir.
So that means an answer to this question is just 2 cos x. You can use 30 there, or 60 there, 60 there, and also substitute it there. You should get the same answer. So is everyone happy with this lesson so far?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I have a question. Sorry.
Yes.
This Wi-Fi keeps on lagging. Okay, so it was 1 cos theta and 1 cos theta is going to give us 2 cos theta. That's practically the answer.
Yes, that is the answer.
Okay, so if we had like a tan theta plus a tan theta, was it going to be 1 tan theta plus 1 tan theta?
That's correct. That is 100%.
Okay, thank you.
So someone wanted to open brackets, and I said, we are not opening any bracket because the problem that we are given is already an acute angle. So it's more like it's already simplified. You don't need to use the reduction formula. So that means all of you guys need to understand why do we have to use these reduction formulas. That's if an angle is similar to that one. You are not even opening a bracket. We just want to close the brackets opened. That's it in short. So if you've got a problem where you've got those brackets opened, what you need to do is to apply reduction formulas to close that bracket. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
guys,
sir.
just make sure that as I write these problems, I'm copying everything correctly. I send all of that information in the group. I'm not sure if you guys are still able to see. Can you
We
guys
are,
see?
sir.
Okay,
Yes, we can.
100%. So let me just give you guys, let's say, 2 minutes to just quickly work out that problem. So I'm going to be asking you questions in terms of how you get to your final answer. I want to see if I can quickly get a light. So 2 minutes, guys. Work it out. I should be back in less than 2 minutes. Guys, let's try to continue. Did you guys get to the final answer? Is there someone who got the final answer, and what is that answer?
Yes, sir. I got -1.
So someone
So I
got
also got
-1.
-1.
I got -1.
100%.
So,
I'm very much happy that you guys got the same answer, which is an indication that you might have done a thing correctly. So let's see, under which angle does that? Under which quadrant? Someone has got a question. Mention your name. Ask the question. Make sure you speak a bit louder.
So okay, sir. How did they get -1?
Okay, let's give it a try. So guys, remember, you must have attended my previous lesson. If you did not attend, then it's fine. I'm going to post it. You will catch up. So you need to know we've got quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4, and then what is it? This is cast diagram. Guys, sometimes I make mistake deliberately so that I want to see if you guys are following. So just make sure that if you notice a mistake, immediately you just let me know. So it serves as an indication to me that we are all on the same page. So guys, you need to know under which quadrant that angle falls. So obviously we know that the angle is 180 degrees. There is 360 degrees. So for every angle which is written 180 plus, it falls under this quadrant. So it's more like they add a certain angle to fall into this quadrant. So when they subtract, it's like from 180 we go back, then we fall into that quadrant. So for 360 degrees minus, then we go back to fall into that quadrant. So that means here we have 180 degrees plus angle. So here we have 180 degrees. What is it? It's minus an angle. So here we have 360 degrees minus angle. Did that make sense to everyone, guys?
yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
100%. So under which angle does 180 degrees plus
Then I
4?
think since it gave me -1, how did they get +1?
They also got -1.
I thought maybe they got +1.
Okay, so under which angle does that fall? Let's see, it's 180 plus angle, it's this quadrant. we're going to have a negative sign. So guys, follow this format. Put it in bracket and say negative sign angle multiplied by, what about that one? It takes us to that and it's negative. So also we are going to get negative cos angle. So remember guys, it's only sine which is positive in this quadrant. It's only tan which is positive. It's only cos which is positive in fourth quadrant. But all of them are positive in the first quadrant. So divided by, let's see, cos 180 plus, it takes us into this quadrant. And here, cos it's negative. So we're having cos negative that multiplied by sine 180 minus way. It falls there and it's sine. So sine is positive in that quadrant. So we have sine that. So let's see. Let's cancel the negatives. That negative is going to cancel. Then we have that negative there. So let's see. That cos is going to cancel with that cos. That sign is going to cancel with that sign. So where is that one? Where does that one come from, LB? It comes from that invisible one there. So it's more like we actually have, now that sign is cancelled, we have negative 1. And then now that that cos is cancelled, we just remain with that invisible 1 over there, divided by, there we have invisible 1, also there we have invisible 1. So it's more like you have negative 1 times 1, which is negative 1. You have 1 times 1, which is positive 1. So what is negative 1 divided by 1 is negative 1. So can you see, guys, how you simplify without using a calculator but following mathematical procedure? Does it make sense to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 100%. So guys, I promise you, if you fully understand all that we're doing in today's lesson, you won't struggle when we get to identities. Very easy, guys. Easy, 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 easy. So just to give you a taste of how easy they are, it's more like they give you something to simplify on the left, you also simplify on the right. It's the same thing. So the reason why I'm saying it's easy is because it's more like they are saying prove that left is equals to right. So in short, they are saying simplify the left side, and um, finally you should get an answer which is the same as that on the right. Then you know if you don't get it, then something is wrong. So that's how easy it is. I hope none of you guys are going to miss my upcoming lessons. So ladies and gentlemen, let's try to move to the next one. So the next one is tan squared angle minus tan squared into 180 degrees plus an angle over there. What is this, guys?
As an expression.
What do we do when we've got an expression?
Simplify, sir.
What does it mean in short when we simplify?
You write it into its simplest form.
So how do you see this is an expression?
The left-hand side is not equated to a number or a value. There is no equal sign, sir.
Lerato, how do you see this is an expression?
There is no equal sign, sir.
So, Lerato, how do you prove if your answer is correct?
You substitute with any value, but it must be the same to each theta or end.
100%. So, in short, whatever value that you substitute or whatever the unknown value that you substitute from the original expression, it has to be the same as when you substitute on your final answer. So now let's work it out. Let's see. So this thing, guys, that angle, what can you say about that angle, Lerato?
It is an acute angle.
So because it's an acute angle, there's nothing that we can do. We cannot simplify that thing. We just write it as it is because that angle, it's an acute angle already. Nothing much that you can do. So that angle, is it an acute angle?
No.
What is it?
Obtuse.
So it's an
What is it?
acute angle.
What is it?
An acute angle.
No,
It's not, so it's an acute angle.
We have
it's a reflex.
acute, obtuse, we have reflex, we have, someone said revolution. Guys, what is that angle?
It's a reflex.
Reflex.
It's a reflex
angle.
angle. Be very careful of that, guys. So that means you just need to know that it falls under quadrant 3, and quadrant 3, we call those angles reflex angles. So let's see, LB, this is what you do. That bracket, then invisible 1 turn into what is that, guys? It's 180 degrees plus angle, close that, squared. So we cannot do anything there. We just write it as it is. Why? Because already this is an acute angle. So it's more like we want to convert from a whatever angle to an acute angle. So it's more like we want to move from obtuse, we want to move from reflex, we want to move from revolution to an acute angle. So it's either you're given that, or you're given that, or you're given that, or otherwise already they give you as an acute angle. So this is given as an acute angle, but that is not an acute angle. You therefore have to use reduction formulas to convert it to an acute angle. Does it make sense to everyone, guys?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Okay, so let's see. So we are going to have minus into, what is that? I think it's negative 10. Someone correct me if I'm wrong.
Because I think it's positive 10.
What is it?
It's positive 10.
Positive 10.
100%. So it's going to be positive invisible 1 tan angle. So LB, you are now going to have minus. Therefore, that squared, it's going to square that positive 1, and again is going to square that tan. So what is positive 1 squared?
It's positive 1.
Positive 1.
So we are
It's
going to
positive
have
1.
positive invisible 1 angle squared. But remember, guys, can you see? You're not telling me that I forgot a square over there. So you need to be very, very careful, guys. Very, very careful. If you don't write it, then it seems like you have tan that minus tan squared that. It has to be a squared over there. So, guys, is our simplification done, or can we further simplify this thing?
I think we
You can simplify.
Okay. What is it going to be?
It's going to
I think it's going to be 0.
It's going to be 0, sir.
It's going to be 0.
So, guys, this thing is the same as y squared minus y squared. What is this, guys?
It's 0, sir.
This is 0
It's
because it's more
0
like you're saying invisible 1 minus invisible
minus
1, which is equals to 0. So substitute it there and again substitute it there and check if it gives you 0. So guys, let's now move to another problem. So let me not remove that so that you're able to write it down. So let's see. Okay, so I've got those problems written there. Let me see. Is it correct, guys? That's 0.
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
Okay, let's see. Okay, now that you said it's correct, let me just remove all of it. So the other problem we've got, what is it? Is tan 360 degrees minus that angle multiplied by cos into 180 degrees plus that angle there, all of that divided by cos of 360 degrees minus that multiplied by cos of 180 degrees plus an angle. So guys, for you to understand these things better, make sure that every time by just looking at that angle, you know exactly in which quadrant it falls. By looking at that angle, you know exactly in which quadrant it falls. That helps you to quickly answer these questions without having to draw that cast diagram. And again, if you follow the correct procedure, you won't get a wrong answer. So let's see that one, that angle, under which quadrant? I think it's a fourth quadrant, and I
Fourth
think tan
quadrant.
is negative there.
Quadrant 4.
So that means we're going to have negative tan there. Let's multiply. What about cos plus is third? In third, cos is what is negative. So we're going to have negative. Let's see. Cos that. Let's move to that one. So that one, it falls under fourth quadrant, and there, what is it? Cos is negative there. So that means we're going to have negative cos angle.
Sir, I have a question. Isn't tan supposed to be positive?
Sir?
Wait. The first one you're saying isn't what supposed to be what?
Tan supposed to be positive.
Wait, under which quadrant does it fall?
Fourth quadrant.
And then in fourth quadrant, what trig ratio is positive there?
Cos.
So that means
The
tan
third quadrant,
is negative.
not the fourth. It's the third.
Third quadrant, no. It is fourth quadrant because it's 360. If it's in
quadrant.
third quadrant, if it's third is 180 plus. So
okay, so tan in the fourth quadrant is negative.
tan in the fourth quadrant is negative, yes.
Okay.
Because cast diagram, this is it. So it's only cos here which is positive. All of sine, tan, and cos are that, and it's only sine here which is positive. It's only that. Then you just say Q1, Q2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. You know this is 180 there. This is 360 there. So this is all that you need when you're dealing with this type of problems. Make sense?
Yes, sir,
Yes,
but
sir.
sir, there's a mistake. There's a mistake. Cos is supposed to be positive, not negative.
100%. So cos there is positive. Then that one, what is it? So we are having, is it not going to be a negative, guys? Negative cos angle. So I'm very much glad that you guys are able to easily notice those mistakes without referring to the cast diagram. That's a huge progress. So obviously, negative cos and negative cos are going to cancel each other out. So that means we have negative tan angle over positive cos angle. I think I'm not sure if I can say maybe we can further simplify this thing or we just leave it as it is. So when I say we can further simplify this thing, I know tan is actually negative sine angle over cos angle. Then you say divided by that cos, then it's cos of angle. Therefore, remember this is the same as over 1. Then you say negative sine angle over cos angle, you multiply by 1 over cos angle. Therefore,
Wait,
this
so I have a
multiply.
question.
Yes.
Wait, so why are we using sine?
Remember, tan is the same as sine angle over cos angle. Do you guys agree with me on that one? To say tan is actually sine over cos.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So I just
So
yes. Someone wants to ask a question, or does it make sense to everyone?
Yes, sir.
So can you see? That means we have sine over cos, which is tan. So now you say tan, negative tan multiplied by 1 over that. So that times that is the same as negative sine angle over that times that is the same as cos squared angle. So I'm sure if you prove that if it's the same as all of that, you're going to get the same thing. And again, if maybe you prove using that, it should be
So
the
we can't
same
see
thing.
the bottom part.
Let me do that. Are you now able to see the bottom part?
Yes, sir.
So is cos squared x because it's cos times cos. Make sense, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's now move to that last part. So there we are having its sine squared into 360 degrees minus that, all of that divided by sine angle.
So we can't see the top part now.
Oh, sorry. Are you now able to see?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's sine into 180 degrees plus an angle. Guys, quickly, this is an expression. Why is it an expression? It's because I don't see an equal sign, or this thing is not equated to anything. So if this is an expression, it means we simplify. In short, when we simplify, we want to rewrite the whole of this complicated thing in its simplest form. So for me to be aware that my final answer is correct, that's if when I substitute the unknown on the original expression, it has to give me the same answer as my final answer where I substitute the same value for the unknown. Does it make sense to everyone, guys?
Yes, sir.
100%. So now,
wait, sir.
let's
So
simplify.
when we're like simplifying, we're gonna use those brackets again for the top part.
Guys, how do I answer that question? Maybe a funny response. Who asked that question?
It was LB.
LB, it's more like you're saying, say, when when you're going to eat, are you going to open your mouth to put the food inside? So
okay, see now.
can you see?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying, how do I answer that question, guys? So a okay, LB, let me not comment on that because I don't even know what to say. But ladies and gentlemen, remember, when you've got a squared over there, just write it this way. Firstly, just write sine into 360 degrees minus that. Then you do that. Then you say over, you've got sine angle multiplied by, we can already work out that part. So can you see, guys, is that an acute angle?
No, sir.
It's not an acute angle. That one, is it an acute angle?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So that is why we're just going to write it as it is, because we know it's an acute angle. That one is not an acute angle. So under which quadrant does that fall? It falls into quadrant number 3. Therefore, is going to be a positive sine angle. Only if it was going to be a negative, then you just put it inside the brackets to say negative sine angle. So now let's work out that one at the top.
Sir, it's
Someone
not.
has got a question?
Sir, I think you made a mistake.
The
Where's the
first step,
mistake?
it's supposed to be negative because sine is positive in the second quadrant and not in the third. So it's supposed to be negative sine, not positive.
Huh? This
So
thing
you
is
see
false.
where
Sine
it's
is
quadrant
positive.
3. So sine is supposed to be negative.
Okay, 100%. So that means I have to write it like that, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So can you see, guys, when it's negative, put it inside the brackets. What is the danger of you not putting it inside the brackets? You're going to say all of that, and then you're going to say sine square root, then you're going to say negative sine x. Can you see, guys? On your next step, this thing, it now looks as if it's sine theta minus sine theta. So you're going to do whatever and say 0 there. Makes sense? Okay, so let's see. That one is in quadrant number 4. We therefore have that squared. So that times that, I think you are aware that we are having negative sine squared angle. I hope it makes sense. Let's see. So obviously that is going to square 1, which is negative 1, and is going to square that again. So what is negative 1 squared? Is positive 1. So you have positive invisible 1 angle. Remember that that squared, it also square a sine divided by negative sine squared angle. So this thing is actually the same as, can you see, that one is going to cancel. That one is going to cancel. Then you remain with positive invisible 1 there over negative invisible 1 there. So 1 divided by 1 is negative 1.
Wait, so we can't see the bottom part.
Sorry, let me do this. Are you now able to see?
Yes, sir.
Do you guys agree with that calculation? Does it make sense to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, guys, can you see how easy these things are? Do you think we can tackle exam type of problems?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, what I want to do, guys, is to make sure that we completely finish this chapter because it's allocated a lot of marks. So as soon as we are completely done with this chapter, then we can start something new. So I just want to make sure that we don't do these chapters half. We don't cook these things half in half. So let's just finish whatever that we're cooking. I think this one is mohodu, guys. And you know, when you cook mohodu, you need the whole 2 years. So let's cook this thing until it's ready. Then we move on to cooking pap. Do you guys agree with me on that one?
Yes, sir.
Because the reason to that is because there are tactics which are connected. So the tactics that I showed you for what we have done so far, they are connected to what we should be doing next, especially that part of proving identities and everything. So I'm begging you guys, let's fully finish off with this chapter and know that you have noted all the tactics. Then we can move on to the next thing. Because what I've noticed is that trigonometry is allocated a lot of marks. So trigonometry, analytical geometry, that's where you should score maximum marks. So guys, this brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Just make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you get a notification. I think if you subscribe and click on notification bell, you will be able to get a notification every time I upload this lesson. So just in case if you miss a lesson, you will be notified when we upload the previous lesson. Then you can just easily catch up. So guys, have a very good night. I hope you enjoyed this lesson as much as I did, and I will see you on our next lesson.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.